All right. Welcome to another week of Football Focus Weekly. I'm the pet man, Matt Morrow. We have another week of interesting things to talk about. Earlier today, CMS came out with the breaking news that they're going to end the pause early. So for us on Football Focus Weekly, we're going to look at it from a football perspective mainly. That means football practice is going to start on February the 8th, which kind of matches up with the NCHSAA calendar. We're going to get into the nuts and bolts of that for the first part of the show for about 45 minutes. So please, if you have someone in CMS or you are really interested in what CMS is doing right now, we're going to break that down in detail once we start the show. Then at 8:15, we're going to go into the slime. I've got a lot of people to slime myself this week. If you don't know what the slime is, that's when the panel goes around and we talk about people we want to slime, which is basically people that have done something idiotic and they need to get called out for it. So Kenny leads that for us. At 8:30, we're going to have Coastal Carolina outside linebackers coach Josh Miller on. Great story throughout the college football season of Coastal Carolina having the great season that they did. So we'll be excited to talk with him and get the inside scoop on what made that year so special. Then at 9 o'clock, we're going to go into our South Piedmont 3A breakdown. We're going to give you conference predictions. We're going to also give you players to watch for every team in the South Piedmont 3A. If you don't know what that is, that's the conference mainly comprised of Cabarrus County, A.L. Brown, Concord, Northwest Cabarrus, Central Cabarrus, Cox Mill, West Cabarrus, all those teams. So you'll get that breakdown at 9 o'clock. And at 9:30 to finish the show, we're going to have Concord Spiders head coach Marty Paxton on to get the deal from the Spiders up in Concord. So that's what we got in store tonight. I see we have a comment already. Jakia, thank you. Glad to hear that. We're going to get started here in just a second. We're going to roll the intro, and then we're going to bring the panel on. So here we go. Wayne King on South Tryon Street is number one. And I'm going to tell you why. Petman's Fried Chicken Rankings. And we're going to do 4 restaurants. I see Fred is laughing in the background.
My sound off is actually about, I'm going back to the Panther fans. And you know why?
Queen of CFI, sound off.
So much disrespect with mighty Coach Bills, and I'm here to sign off about it.
I can tell you how the Panther season gonna be.
Oh, I've got a rule in life, man. There are a couple rules I live by in life. One rule is never pass by Bojangles without stopping. A second rule of life is get play sauce, it'll save your life. Third rule of life, don't trust white girls. The number one most annoying group of people who don't put their buggies back in their little buggy aisles at the grocery store.
Touchdown, Nation Day, Falcons!
Where did I agree to get 211 text messages a day about the election? What did I agree to get calls every 7 seconds?
I'm gonna sound off on myself. All my teams stink. Oh my God, we have the caption Cowboy Joe on there now. Good grief. But
Charlotte Football Insider, Football Focus Weekly. All right, let's bring the crew in and we're going to get started. All right, so here we go. What's up, everybody?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Just glad to be here on the number one high school football show out there.
Every week.
Number one, baby. Number one. That's what the ratings say.
Yep.
Undisputed.
I'm glad everybody's viewing. So when y'all throw y'all little shots, don't throw it at Coach Billups. Them three said. I was sitting here chilling.
I take it. Ain't no intercontinental champion here. We got the world title.
See, there you go. That's Brandon Black, not Brandon Billups. Stop and Coach Billups.
We're kind of like air raid offensive coordinators in college. We're the show that everyone else comes to get new ideas.
Sounds right. Accurate to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's
y'all drank some Kool-Aid today, didn't y'all? Y'all drank the purple drink today, didn't you? Y'all drank some purple drink.
We're just stating what happens. So anyway, all right. So big news of the day. Yes, that's right. CMS ends their athletic pause early. So a lot of people are very excited. They're very happy about this. But let's get into the nuts and bolts of it. So you see the press release CMS has on their website right there. The good thing about it, from other sports perspectives, it was cool that the swimmers and divers can compete in the regional meet that was in Huntersville. A lot of people thought that was kind of silly to have an event in Mecklenburg County that Mecklenburg County couldn't participate in. So, I think that's a big win for them. But from the football perspective, practice is starting on February the 8th. Now, that lines up with the NCHSAA calendar. That official practice starts February 8th. But, of course, the big issue, like me and Ken were talking about before the show, conditioning. We got to get everyone's bodies ready. And everyone hasn't been working from a player perspective, of course. It hadn't been equal across the board. So, Ken, I know that's one of your big concerns with this, situation. What other concerns do you have right now?
Well, I think that there's nothing better for high school athletes right now than to find out that they're going to be able to be on the field. They're going to be able to play. And right now, things are looking good. I think as a coach, what worries you is the conditioning. What worries you especially is the big boys up front. Those big boys who have been sitting around eating pom-poms for the last couple of weeks, those guys are not going to be in football field shape. What also worries me is we're going to be practicing on for schools that do not have turf fields. And even the schools that do have turf fields, there are so many other sports that are all condensed into one time period. They're going to be practicing on what's already shoddy practice field turf that's going to be made even worse by frozen ground and no Bermuda, no tall fescue, no types of grass right now. So you're talking about ankle injuries, you're talking about groin injuries. But I think the biggest fear, and Coach Phillips has brought this up repeatedly, is you're talking about knee injuries. And for guys who haven't been able to be in the weight room, guys who haven't been able to squat here recently with full range of motion, guys who haven't been stretching and doing those natural elastic moves that we do in the weight room and we do every single day throughout the summer and the spring, I just think we're going to see a lot of injuries. I mean, I'm hoping I'm wrong. And, of course, my biggest fear is if you get injured in March, you're not playing in August and September. It's just not happening. If you have a knee injury in March and you're a junior, you probably missed out on your junior season and your senior year. And that's a scary thing, but it's where we are. It's what we have to do. And I think lastly, depending on what eligibility looks like, I think there's a good chance that there's some guys who are not eligible. We've already talked about all the big names who have moved on, but potentially schools are going to have to put freshmen and sophomores who otherwise wouldn't be playing on Friday nights in key positions on Friday nights. And that's a little bit scary as well, especially because they have not been working out. Usually, even those freshmen by this point have already started working out after school.
Right, exactly. Brandon, what are your concerns about, everything that's going on with CMS right now?
Definitely the conditioning aspect, the chemistry, and really, like you said, like Clamrock alluded to, you got a kid that honestly, you're going to have some kids that may, a junior might actually sit out and just say, hey, if I go out here right now and get hurt, I may miss out on my entire senior season. So you're going to have some kids sit out. You're going to have kids that probably should be on and developing. They're thrown into the fire early. That may stifle their development some. But I say the primary thing is the conditioning aspect. Like you say, you're gonna have kids. It's been, they've been eating burgers and fries for months and months, and now you're, in a couple weeks, literally just a day short, less than a month from now, they're gonna be asked to be in full tip-top shape and ready to play a football game, and that's a tall order. But those are my main concerns. Having to literally take risks.
You take it even a step farther, going along with that same exact thing, is, in the springtime and in the summertime, while we've never been able to have body-to-body contact, schools were able to still work on things like fitting in on a tackle, for example, use dummies and use pads and all those kinds of things that schools have not been able to use for the last several months. You couldn't hit a dummy. You couldn't hit a 5-man sled. You couldn't hit a stand-up. Offensive linemen couldn't work on their 2-man fits on the double team. So I think there's going to be a lag. I mean, mentally, I think kids are going to be ready. I mean, they've been lining up against trips on defense and lining up to 2x2 in motion for months now. Well, most kids, CMS, unfortunately, has not been able to. But how are they going to respond to that physical demand? And I think that you risk injury there. If a kid doesn't know how to tackle correctly, because they only have 2.5 weeks for CMS now to go through tackling correctly. And you got to keep in mind, these schools still have to hand out helmets. They still have to hand out shoulder pads. They still have to hand out pants. They still can't use the locker room. Like, I talked to several coaches this weekend. I'm like, hey, what are y'all going to do in a week about getting kids dressed? I don't know. What are you guys going to do about watching film? We don't know yet. Like, we're thinking about moving televisions outside. You can't watch film in February outside. There's no way. So coaches still have so many questions that they still don't have answers to because they're not being told those things yet. It's going to be. I mean, you talk about school, like building the boat while you're trying to drive in the boat, or airplane while you're trying to fly. That's what's going to take place in the state of North Carolina over the next 3 months.
All right, the illustrious Billups. Let me get your thoughts on this.
Hey, y'all got what y'all. Everybody got what they want. This is perfect. I was happy for the swimmers, the basketball players, people who was already in season. I'm just on. Here's another soundbite that get everybody agitated. They should never have paused us. They should not pause us. CMS was not allowed. They only started allowing us to bring weights outside CMS like January officially, with teams, like lifting with your teams. Like, I know a lot of teams their players been going to train and going this, and they've been posting workouts and stuff like that. That's cool. I've been in the weight room, and Kim ran a weight room before. You got to be around the kids to make sure they're properly doing stuff right. Like, you go on Twitter right now, you see kids doing squats and deadlift, but they're not using the proper technique. But that's not my place or Ken's place or Pep place or Brandon place or any coach place to say, hey, that's the wrong technique. That's their high school coach. But you can't really fault the coach because we haven't been around. This is dangerous. It's dangerous. I'll be the person to say it. I'm not saying that West Charlotte High School is scared of anybody or smoke. I'm just talking from a coach perspective. I don't have spring ball. I don't have summer like high school, like South Carolina had. And you want me to throw some kids out there in 2 weeks. So you got to basically take 2 weeks where we get acclimated to pads and helmets. And that's going to be the first week. We don't even know that schedule. They got to give us our schedule out. They got to give us that schedule. Like schools, we get a brand new school building. They don't let us use the weight room, and we're in the pods. Can we have pods in the weight room? So we ask the can squat and make sure the sanitation thing go down. It does so much you do outside with free weights and stuff like that. This is it's a combat sport. It's a combat sport. It's something like I take serious, like when we used to go out with combat. You train as you fight. That's what we're taught in the Army. And it's tough. Do I think it's possible to do? I think CMS, and I'm not criticizing CMS because I understand leadership, you go on a risk reward and you got to think about that stuff like that. And the numbers was high. So I understand. Like the only people who should have kept going, they should have let them swimmers and they should have let the basketball season keep going on, because one thing they're not telling y'all is they want to limit physical contact in these 2 weeks. So this is a combat sport. We got to make collisions. It's a collision-based sport. And these kids have been doing ligament-based stuff, pyrometics and stuff like that. Then it's kind of tough to throw them out there. The kids don't be pumped. The parents should be pumped. Coaches should be pumped. But at the same time, you should think, like for a conference like IMEC and the Southwestern, we had I haven't talked to no IMEC coaches. I've been talking to my athletic director, and this is just my thought. This is not the thoughts of Sam Brown at West Shaw or anybody or Josh Harris. This is Brandon. Lake Norman and Morrisville have been going since the whole thing been going on. And you out there, we gotta play that first game. And I gotta take some kids that we really have been doing no weights because we getting a whole new school built. And we got to walk through construction to the practice field and stuff like that. No, to our game field. But we're not going to play there. But that's where we got to practice at. And it just don't make sense. They should not pause it. You got a new coach. And Sam don't do everything. He don't make excuses. We just don't. You got to show up to play. You got to show them and give them your best effort. But it just don't make sense. And then you got like Porter Ridge. Hickory Ridge about to play in this other country. They had that pause at first, but they keep going. And that's all I'll be trying to tell people. Like, y'all, we all just want these kids to get out there. I want them to get out there. But do y'all really, honestly, all you coaches, yeah, my kids been lifting and stuff like that. Y'all being proud, y'all putting them pads on, pop a shoulder dick dislocated. They cut bad. I have seen before, kid power scene, I have seen kids, like them ninth graders come out. Ninth graders have the most injuries because they're not used to it. They get out there and start cutting. And I seen a kid tear his ACL, tear his MCL. And I'm not wishing that on nobody, but I'm just saying, yeah, y'all parents be excited. But this is different from swimming, basketball, lacrosse. This is a contact sport, collision-based sport. That's how we do it. And South Carolina did right to go ahead and do it then because they still had all that time and that prep work. 2 weeks of prep work ain't good. Look at the NFL, like all the injuries that happen in the NFL. And they didn't have enough prep. And these are professionals who then go train. And y'all tell them 9th through 12th grade kids, teenage boys to go train. And half of them not even doing their schoolwork and stuff like that with all this free time. So that's not me saying, hey, it's not possible to get done. There's some kids who are out there getting in, but do we actually think? I don't know, it's gonna be my comment because, like I said, every time something is said, I'm just a logical thinker. That's what I learned in the military. You gotta think logical things. I understand, but they should not have paused. If they don't let us play football this year, they should have just let it ride. They should have let it ride from there, and the whole state should have been on the same play time. And this is not on the state. It's not on CMS. It's on the state. It's not on CMS. They should have put us all on the same plateau. And when one shut down, make sure the playing field is even. It's not even this time. So I'm excited, but I'm nervous. This is the most nervous I've been going to a football season ever. It's not like I'm scared for West Shaw to go out there and play quality football. It's a big, I don't know what's gonna happen because this is the first time we played and never had an off-season stuff. Y'all want, I'll tell you a funny story. When I was in Kuwait, I wanted to play flag football. And it was a bunch of soldiers. We were just like, hey, we're in the best shape of our life. We go out there. First time I stepped to cut, I tore my whole hamstring. Because I haven't been out there doing stuff. I've been doing combat movements and stuff. And I remember I called my ex-wife, she was my wife at the time, And I said, I tore my whole hamstring. And she was like, wow. I was like, I was out there thinking I'm there, young man, just hop back in there. And the only reason why I did it because it was cold. Because I was out there trying to do something without stretching, without doing none of this stuff. So I'm just telling you, this is stuff that can actually happen. I hope it don't happen. I hope nobody goes. And then we just need more guidelines. They should have gave more details. So now we gotta wait. You might have to wait to February 3rd or 4th to actually know the whole guidelines of what we can actually do. Is the weight room gonna be open up to us? Can we move in pods and stuff like that? Or they don't give us more than 2 hours of practice time to actually get these kids rolling and stuff like that. Do it count when we start giving equipment out, because that's a big thing. And there's no scrimmages for CMS schools. I don't think so. Like, it just, and then what's gonna happen if one of these kids get COVID, or you shut us down for 10 days, 2 weeks? What's the it was just I would like to say in the military, it was just one of them statements they do, and they wipe your butt and tell you, hey, everything's all right. But they just give you something, a cookie, just to make you feel happy, because them parents and them kids was on. But what they should have done is say, hey, we're gonna let these swimmers swim. We're gonna let basketball resume. Everybody else will have more details to come, but we'll have a season. Or they should have just released everybody today and say, hey, Thursday, y'all go back to work. That's my 2 cents.
You know, I totally agree about what the meaning behind the statement is, because when you start digging into it and breaking it down, it's a 1 week earlier resumption from what it would have been. So yes, they did something. It's almost like it's a child that they finally learn how to walk, and they take one step and then they fall. It's like, okay, yes, you did it, but you didn't do it that well, you know. So, I mean, we got what we got. So my question to you guys now, if you're a head coach, and Billups, you make a very good point about not knowing what the standards are, but how do you set up a practice schedule, and what is your plan to get your guys as ready as you possibly can, knowing what you know?
And I'll say this first, and then Ken to go, because Ken's more a politician than me. I'm just a dead, and I'm a darn army guy, and this is me giving you straight to the fact. I can't make a plan where I know we're only half of a sandwich. Like, you can't go in there and make a plan. You can make an assumption, but then you don't have fraggles. You don't have a bunch. Oh man, we need to adjust this. All you can do is make a bunch of scenario-based stuff. Most of these coaches don't be like, hey, we got to lift. We don't have to do some kind of lift. They don't have some kind of free weight, because some of them, like Vance might be out there power clean, then push pressing a bar on the back of the shoulder and then doing squats like that. Or, you know what I'm saying? The warrior, there's some warriors out there. But you don't have to have time to acclimate with them weights. You can't really do too much conditioning stuff, because you probably don't have to put a helmet on pretty soon. That first week, you don't have to put no helmet on. It's probably gonna be a deadline. Am I right, Ken? What is it? 10 days before the game, before first contact?
Well, that's why I was on the state website right now looking to see if I could find an updated calendar. Normally we have the heat and acclimatization process. Yeah. If they're gonna follow the same days, I've been told by some coaches that that's what they've been told from their athletic directors. So I'm assuming that's true, and I'm trying to find it, and I'm not having any luck. And that may just be because I'm kind of in a rush, and I didn't want you guys to realize that I was looking to make some.
Right. No, but we should give like facts, because I don't know. Because I think right now the people who are at the real advantage, if you're coming back, you got the same offensive personnel. You got maybe one or two positions. You got to put somebody there. You already got your day one starters on both offense and defense and stuff like that. You're in good shape, because all you can do now, you could take time and do these physical. You need to do a conditioning, but not run them to death, but get them acclimated, running around. Probably do some free weight, box jumps, stuff like that. You got to have time to get acclimated. because like when we got in country in Kuwait, they ain't no 30 out there put you on Kevlar and say, hey, go run around in 120-degree weather and best of luck to you. No, we had to get out there. We had 48 hours, and you had to get your skin, you got to get acclimated to the weather. So that's what it is. It's a bunch of unknown.
Using what the states always used. Your first 2 days are always helmet only. So that would be February 8th and 9th. And then days 3, 4, and 5 are helmet and shoulder pads, what most coaches call shells. So that would be the 10th, 11th, and the 12th, with Saturday the 13th being the first day of full contact, where you could go live and go to the ground. And of course, every coach is going to go 6 days a week if they can do it. And from what I've been told, they're going to be able to go three hours a day, which is crazy because they've only been able to go an hour and a half per the state. And then the second week, some schools, it's less common now than it used to be, but some schools would have a 2-a-day. The second week was my special teams install. The second practice, we would lift, and we would do special teams install. So we'd lift 2 days plus do special teams, and we would do special teams for just 2 days because we could go 1 hour, 2 hours, 1 hour, 2 hours, alternating on that second practice. But you can't do that now. You're in school. And I think Coach Billups knows this, especially I'm imagining, I'm gonna speak out of line here. At West Charlotte, there were kids at West Charlotte who were home in full-time virtual school who could not get to school at 2:30 for football workouts when they were allowed to do something. Like a kid at Huff who is rolling up in his Mercedes. And that's not me knocking anybody. That's just me being general stereotypes. But I think that's a big deal. And I think those are questions that I've been told the state's going to follow that same first day, second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day, sixth day live.
Just that way.
Assuming that they do that, that gives schools a little bit of time. I think that every coach in CMS would probably feel a little bit better if they were starting on Monday the 1st and they had a week to just run the mess out of their guys, to get their legs all shaky, to build up that lactic acid so that they could have something in the tank when they come there on the 8th. But right now, I mean, you're talking about when guys put helmets and shoulder pads on and it's 20 degrees outside at practice, and if you're at a school where you have to share one field with all these other teams, like teams that are in season now, boys soccer is in season now, it's going to be really difficult. The schools that have multiple fields, West Cabarrus that has 3 turf fields plus another random Bermuda grass field, they're going to be fine. But the schools that have barely one field and like I said, shoddy practice field conditions, which is more the norm than not in North Carolina, unfortunately, it's going to be really tough. If they could get weights out there next week and they could just do some squats, get the heart rate up and get those legs burning, I think coaches would feel better. But it's going to be tough. And I think it's going to be tough for coaches to make that adjustment. I think coaches are going to be doing things on the fly. I think coaches who are smart are going to be talking to other coaches, their friends, their mentors, and other leagues. Hey, what are y'all doing? What's your schedule looking like? How are you going to do this? And I think coaches are going to have to make a decision. There are going to be some things that has to get let out because even still, if we say that you got to be there from 3 to 6 in the afternoon, and that was my 3-hour window. Normally we check in at 2:50 and then film starts at 3 and you watch film for 30 or 35 minutes and then you get dressed and you go out and that gives you time to get through practice and pre-practice and get dressed and post-practice meetings. But you can't do a lot of those things now. You can't get dressed 50 kids in a locker room. You're going to have 10 kids in a locker room at a time. They can't, going back to Coach Billups, they can't do treatment. They can't get taped unless it's an emergency because you've got that close face-to-face contact with the athletic trainer or the student trainers. They can't go get water from the water fountains. They got to have their own water bottles on the field. I mean, we were talking about situations that's never been experienced before. No coaches have it. I think there are some coaches who are probably keeping things close to the vest because they've come up with some ideas that they hope will benefit them, which I think is probably not best for everybody because this is a time where coaches really need to share the knowledge and to let other coaches know, hey, what are we doing to work around this? So hopefully they're working together. But the coaches right now can't come up with a plan until their athletic director tells them, which is going to come after the county athletic director tells them, which is going to come after guidance from the NCHSAA.
You know, and all that has to happen in such a short period of time. And I tell you, I can remember coaching, and we used to, you know, be on pins and needles just to get the next year calendar from the NCHSAA in the summer, so you can plan your whole off season, you know, well, at least your summer based off of that. So now I know, you know, coaches got to be going crazy. Like, all right, so we're starting this on the 8th, and we got game week in 2 weeks after that. So please just tell me what I can do so I can, you know, get something down on paper and I can communicate it to my parents and my players so they can be prepared accordingly. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff that still needs to happen to make this, you know, a true success. You know, in all honesty,
man, you taking spring and summer ball all the way, and we don't combine it in 2 weeks. Do the math on that.
That's crazy.
And that's the only thing I be trying. That's the only thing I'm trying to tell all my fellow coaches and stuff like that. Like, I understand a lot of people been sending their kids the virtual workouts, and then they'll send them videos on them working and stuff like. Kudos to you, but how do we actually know that the proper techniques are getting done and stuff like that? And I'm not saying that. They're kids. They're still kids, man. They're kids. They're kids. We saw a whole NFL season, and I don't keep on saying you saw a whole NFL season. They did the same thing with pro athletes, and we saw the most injuries we've seen in years in the NFL. Like,
as an offensive line position coach, if I had 10 practices in the spring for 10 practices times a 2-hour period, I would not get past anything other than stance and starts.
Yeah, starts and stance.
And that's that was it. It was 20 hours of stance and starts, and we never did anything else. We didn't even work our way up. As you move into summer, you start going more through your progressions and different types of blocks and stuff like that. But we didn't even teach pass pro until August 1 because I wanted to make sure that I had my stance and my starts and my fits right. Mm-hmm. And that was over 16 summer practices, 10 spring practices, 26 practices. Now you're going to have at most 14-ish, and then it's game week, whatever that looks like. I'm not very good at math. I mean, this is crazy stuff. And then going back to, can you get in the weight room, Coach Billets? I mean, we all know that some of CMS's top programs are known for what they do on Saturday mornings after Fridays. They're coming in, they're getting in lifts to stretch out, to recuperate. They're stretching, all those kinds of things. Yeah. If you can't do that, there's a reason why you do those things. There's a reason why I had foam rollers. There's a reason why I bought hundreds of dollars of foam rollers from my bank account so that I could have guys rolling out all day through class and before practice and in the locker room and during film and after practice. There's a reason why we bought all those TENS units so that they could get shock treatment. There's a reason why we filled up all those bags of ice. And if kids aren't able to do that, I mean, it's the trade-off that is. We're grateful for football. We're excited for football. Not a lot of people are going to be able to see it. 100 people or whatever they're going to allow into the stadium.
I don't think they're going to be able to do that because they was counting on him to push us past phase 3, and we got to stay in. We got to stay in. So you're not going to make. I'm not a negative person. I'm one of the most positive people. I'm just a realist, and these guys. Anybody who know me will tell you I'm a very real, straight to the point person. I believe when you're given an objective, you got to figure out. As long as you got all the details, you figure out how to achieve that objective. And I think a lot of I think all CMS schools, coaches, and athletic directors, they don't figure it out. I'm just saying. I'm just giving you the pros and the cons. It seems like a whole bunch of cons. The biggest pro is we get to see our kids and be around these kids, and they get to have these activities. Like, let's talk. Y'all just worrying about sport. I was glad to see them let RTC come back. They letting the art program, letting the theater kids, the kids who not into it, they letting them have their stuff back. But what I'm saying is, bring more deep. You got to bring more to the table so you give coaches and athletic department and trainers. You get these ADs and you make them feel more comfortable. You just give this statement, say, "Hey, we're good now. I gave you what you want." That's good for the swimmers, the people who was already in season. But what about these people not in season? That's all. You got lacrosse starting. You got all these sports. Them fields don't get dogged out, and But hey, at the end of the day, you got to fight the mission. We got a mission. We got to make it happen. Just tell us what we can, but give us the proper tools to accomplish the mission. Just not enough time. And ladies and gentlemen, I know we want to play, but hey, we're playing. And I was y'all parents. You got some student athletes. You got juniors, sophomores, freshmen. Get them out there stretching. Get them out there running. Get them out there doing some squats, some wall squats, push-ups. Get them do something now. Plank. Do something now. I'm always about solutions, but they need to be out there running 2 miles. No, not 1 mile, 2 miles out there. Just getting it because it's going on. Linemen, you don't need to be running up 2 miles. Y'all need to be doing short yard sprints. Just keep doing that because this season's gonna depend on how well prepared you come. So you have, everybody want to sit at the table. What do you bring to this table? You want to play? You better come in your best physical capability self ever, and we're gonna get it done. But parents, don't let them sit at home all day on Xbox and PlayStation, on TikTok, sitting outside, so they'll leave you alone. Hey, when they get to school, hey man, go run, go ride your bike, go get that heart rate coming up. This is unprecedented. And I can't compare this to the Army because we always prepared. Can't compare this to any military service. We all prepared to go. That's how we do. That's our job. Train. When a mission pop up, we ready to go. But if we're taking children after they just saw what happened in NFL, and they struggle a little bit. You get what I'm saying? That's all I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen. It's not me trying to say, hey, I'm mad at the season, but I'm glad. I love coaching football. It's fun. But at the same time, let y'all children, y'all kids get out there and do y'all part.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk 3 more minutes on this, then we're gonna move on to the slime. But the biggest thing that I'm gonna get you the comments here in a second. But the biggest thing that all of us are saying is get ready now. Do not wait until February 8th to go out there and think you're gonna be ready to go. You can't wait on that. You got to start running. You got to start stretching. You got to start getting yourselves ready to go. So parents that are watching this, get your players up and going. Have a plan. Talk to your coach. Your coach should be communicating to you what these expectations are to make sure that they're ready to go when the 8th hits. Because to Coach Billups and Kenny's points, you're gonna be hitting the ground running, literally. I mean, if it was me, that first week, we doing an hour of stretching and conditioning. I'm just being real with it.
It'll be over with.
That's smart, man.
I mean, that whole first week, stretch and condition. I mean,
when it starts, you're gonna be able to see real quick who did some preparation now and who really waited. I mean, you're gonna see who's conditioned and who's on the side throwing up. You're gonna really be able to tell who took some time to prepare. But I echo Billups' positive sentiments. The season's gonna come with a long list of challenges, a long list of hurdles, but you got to consider what's the alternative? No season at all. So, unfortunately, it's gonna come with a long list of challenges, but kids need this, and not just for scholarships and recruiting. Kids need structure. They need this camaraderie. They need the memories that high school football brings. It's going to come with the challenges, but I think the challenges and obstacles are worth it. It's a lot of challenges and duly noted, but I think it's all going to be worth it in the end because it's either this or no season at all.
All right, so the Queen has joined us. So before we move on to the slime, I'm going to give her a chance to weigh in on this CMS situation.
Muted.
Yep.
I don't think so.
So I just been kind of listening to everything. It seems like We're no closer to a resolution than we were when we started this conversation, all those months ago. I'm hoping that, we can, kind of get everything just put together in a time frame that's suitable for everyone. But, right now I'm still kind of just trying to take everything in and just, figure out what is going to what's going to take place in the next couple of weeks. Because like you guys said, we got a couple of weeks before the season actually starts, and we're trying to get everybody to pretty much be in tip-top shape by the time this does start. And I don't know if it's I don't know what's going to happen with this. So I'm kind of just sitting back as a spectator, just trying to see what we can do to have a season and it be successful. So that's where I'm at with it.
Just pray like MC Hammer said.
All right, let's get to some comments here. Miss Burlos, a regular watcher of the show, is very happy that football's coming back. Miss Moten, another regular watcher, wish football could have started tomorrow. I mean, hey, don't we all? That would be ideal. Also, Miss Moten, no reason for the pause. Nothing has changed in that amount of time. That directive came from the Mecklenburg County Health Director, Miss Harris. So, they were trying to, follow those recommendations there. Let's see. We got Kyle, Zoom 10-day rule isn't going to work for football. It's what we got at this point.
They don't shut a whole team down.
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother story. Joe Hughes, think a lot of folks are dependent on hoops to get in shape too. Now, we talked about the two-sport athletes.
They're not going to play.
That's something that's getting lost in this.
They're not going to play.
Yeah.
You got people who playing lacrosse right now. Most of them lacrosse players, they got to make a decision. You got people, they're in the state playoff for basketball in CMS. Most of them, unless they sit on the bench, you don't leave something that that's going down from unknown. But like I said, all this, you got to pray for a better day and hope something come on, because even like with the basketball stuff, there was, I think, a school in Asheville, they had to forfeit 2 weeks worth of game because they got stopped for COVID. So it just it ain't the NFL, ladies and gentlemen. Not the NFL.
The COVID stuff is a big thing. It's a big variable. Like, with a shortened season, especially, let's take a look at it from a basketball perspective. They're coming back, too. But let's say a team gets COVID in that first week, they come back. Their season's over. I mean, that's it. So, there's a lot of factors that are going on. It's a lot, man. It's a lot.
Yeah. But no, like we said, we ain't being negative. We see the positive, but you gotta be real.
Yeah.
A realist.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be real. That's why we're here, to keep it real. Sometimes we keep it too real, but that's us.
Hey, that was a good comment, Miss. That was a good comment, Miss Burl on post. You see it?
Oh, here you go.
They don't have to make. They probably might have to make a exception, because you remember, you can't leave one sport wise in season to go join another sport, because you remember some players used to get mad about football. I'm like, I'm quitting football. I'm gonna go join basketball, but they're not allowed to play until football season. That football season over with, unless you play like JV or something. And you know what I'm saying?
Well, I think that the coaches, surely these coaches have already talked about this. Coaches have to work together, and especially in your 3As, your 2As, your 1As, where you have multiple sport athletes, and that's the norm. those coaches have to be willing to work together.
But I don't think they're gonna be able to let them do that. Like I don't like you see like her question. Like they're talking about their tight end. Their tight end play basketball. South Piedmont tight end, one of their best players.
Yep. Bryson Nesbitt. Yep.
And he's still in season once football start, and they're making a playoff push. He's not gonna be able to, I don't think by the rules, you ain't gonna be able to go play football on Friday and go play basketball during the week. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. So there's no dual sport.
You can't, because you got to have that.
That's not true. That's not true. You are allowed to play multiple games in a week, and it depends from sport to sport. And they have, from my understanding, increased that allotment that's allowed.
That's tough.
So the state has done some things there.
That's tough. I was a parent, and that's just me being honest. Yeah, I got back, and most of the time, them basketball games, they play like Tuesdays and Thursdays. You got a state playoff game on Thursday, and then I want to go around and play a regular season game on Friday for football. Wouldn't do it.
Now, that's the big point is if you got a team in the state playoffs, and it's going to be a question for a week. The first couple of weeks of the season, it's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
Now, once basketball starts ending, then of course, it's
the big question is the 5-day acclimatization period, because you have to keep in mind that in August the 1st, there's no sport prior to that. And so will the state say, hey, this person has been playing basketball for the past 2 months. They do not have to go through that mandatory 5-day acclimatization process, because that could really start to have major impacts. And I don't know the answer to that. I'm sure that's been
that's a good one too, because you had to have that acclimation. Hey, we got players on the basketball team. One of our best receivers, chances on the basketball team.
Yeah.
So if West Shaw in the playoffs.
So where we at now? We got to get more answers. Hopefully next week we have more answers, and we will bring them to you. I promise you, once we get them, for sure. But we got to get to the slime, because our first guest comes on at 8:30, and we got to try to stay on time for once. So
for one, we'll try it out.
Kenny, you got the slime. Let's go.
All right, guys, it's time. If you've watched us the last couple of weeks during the early playoff games, there was a playoff game on Nickelodeon, and they showed people being slimed with all these themes and SpongeBob and the goalposts, and it got me thinking, who would you like to slime? So if you would like to slime a professional athlete or somebody that's out in the news, type in the comments. But for the last couple of weeks, we've been going through and talking who we want to slime, and we're going to start off with the queen. Girl, who you got? Who are you sliming this week?
So I think this week I'm gonna have to go with the Detroit Lions. I gotta slime that whole organization, just because I feel like Matthew Stafford hasn't really been given a fair shake with him. I feel like he's had to deal with a lot when it comes to that team as a whole, and for them to be trying to part ways with him and figure out where he needs to go. I just think that it's sort of, it's not his fault, and I just don't think it's fair. But I did hear he was one of the candidates to try to come to the Carolina Panthers. Not saying that that's fit for us, but it's still something to look at. But still, I wonder why that organization decided that was the way for them to go for next season. Why get rid of Matthew Stafford? Why not try to make everything else around him a little bit better before you deal him off to somebody else and try to figure out what you're going to do next? So yeah, Detroit Lions, you're getting slimed.
Producer Brandon, who you sliming this week?
All right, so I got to go with Green Bay Packers coach Matt. Got to go with Matt LaFleur, man. And there's a popular saying out there called "Scared money don't make money," and kicking that field goal with only a couple minutes left, that was scared money. My thing is this, man. You got a future Hall of Fame quarterback. I'm putting the ball in his hands, and you kicking that field goal with the assumption that you're going to get the ball back and get back down there, and that just didn't happen. So, you got Aaron Rodgers. I want the ball in his hand. Yeah, you still had to get the 2-point conversion, but it was worth a shot. You got to give yourself a chance, man. So, Matt LaFleur, throw a whole bucket of slime, man, because, now, Tom Brady's in his 35th Super Bowl because of that, man. So, Matt LaFleur's got to get slime, man.
All right, that's a good one. That was one of my candidates for this week, sliming. Pat Man, who you sliming?
Man, in the interest of time, I had 3. I had a lot of slime to get. I mean, just because I am who I am and I'm very jealous of people, I'm going to slime the 2 people who won the lottery, man. One person won the Powerball, and one person won the Mega Millions. I mean, come on, man. One person, you got all these people playing the lottery, and one person going to win each one. And I'm slamming them because I bought $15 worth of Mega Millions tickets, and I got one number. Out of all those picks, one number. That ain't right, man. So y'all get the slime because y'all millionaires and almost billionaires. So there you go.
And then you know who that leaves next? The illustrious, the Lion of the West, the butter to my shade, Coach Billups. Who you sliming?
My God in heaven. Hey, I got to say, you never leave the game in the ref's hands, but I'm sliming that officiating crew from Green Bay in that Tampa Bay game. You let them boys pass interference the whole game, and then you just let Brady off the hook. I feel like Denny Green, digress yourself. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are who we thought they were, and you let them off the hook. I'm sliming them and Matt LaFleur because I can't stand him. Go on, and you want to make things right with Coach Billups? Send A-Rod back to LA. We got a wonderful number 12 jersey. We got a wonderful quarterback named Jared Goff. We could send you. You can go kick field goals with him. He loved to drive down the field and kick a field goal and then choke at the end of the game. But, A-Rod, you want to come on, we want to win some games. But I'm slamming that officiating crew. And I'm also, this is a special one. I'm slamming that sucker from the Seahawks. I don't even want to say his name, but everybody saw what he did to that poor black woman. I'm slamming him. He a sucker. And that's why I don't like the Seahawks organization, because they let suckers like that in their locker room. And I said, sucker.
Well, I'll tell you what. We all know that social media has become a place for years now where adults like to get on there and they like to put all their business out there. They spill all of it for everybody to see. And that's okay. I mean, if that's what you want to do. If you want to tell your business, you get on there and you talk about your baby's mama's daddy and you do whatever else it is that you do. But what I've never understood is when parents get on social media and they put their kids' business out there. Like, for example, how many times have you seen a parent on Facebook or social media bashing the coach of their kids' basketball team or football team or baseball team because their baby ain't getting off the bench? Why in the world are you putting out there on social media that your boy is sitting the bench? You think your son or your daughter wants all of his mama's friends knowing that he ain't getting no run? That's crazy to me, which leads it into the person I'm going to slide this week. This week, I heard a quote from a clown. And as soon as I start to say this quote, you're going to know exactly the clown that I'm talking about, the clown of all clowns. This dude, it blows my mind. But here was the quote that I heard. My thing is, he ain't happy with that. But he ain't go show that. If I train you to be the best and you've been starting all your life, here's what they don't get. And he goes on. My boys are not freaking role players. They're superstars. Let them do what they do. But if your mentality ain't like that, guess what? It's hard to coach my boys and tap into the best because you don't have a killer mindset. LeVar Bats, get that crap out of here, dude. I'm sliming you with green slime, and I'm even bringing out the special purple and teal slime. How are you going to get on live television and start talking about your grown son, your 19-year-old son in the NBA? Why are you fighting your dude's battles? If your son has an issue with his his playing time. He needs to talk to Coach Borrego, and they need to figure that out. Otherwise, tell your boy to quit turning the ball over so much, and maybe he'll make his way into the starting lineup. LeVar Ball, you've been slimed.
Thank you, Kenny, for that passionate slime this week.
You were talking about Zoe too. You were talking about both of us, Kenny, not just Mello. Mello, you staying sharp. We love you. Don't listen to Kenny. We love you.
Yeah, exactly. All right. And by the way, the Hornets are up by 4, making a miraculous comeback right now. So that's awesome. But we'll get to that later. All right. So we have our first guest of the night here now with us. He is the outside linebackers coach at Coastal Carolina University, who had a great season, one of the best stories in college football all season long. And his name is Josh Miller. And we're going to bring him on the show right now. All right, Coach, how we doing?
I'm doing great. How are y'all?
Man, we're doing good, man. I appreciate you, taking some time out of your busy schedule for us to, talk a little bit about, your program and yourself and, just the amazing season that you guys had, down in Conway. And just incredible stuff, man. I want to start off by just asking you, what was the secret sauce that you guys, had this year to just make a great turn from where your program was to where you guys ended up, this season?
Well, to be honest, it was all the magic of the mullets. I mean, I can't really say anything else than that. It was all the mullets. So, no, honestly, we have just great kids down here, to be honest. They're a joy to be around. We have extremely good leadership on both sides of the ball. And when you're taking a year like this into account, where the guys have to be self-motivated, work from home, they were home for COVID and dealing with the coronavirus throughout the season, you have to have a lot of guys that are disciplined, that are willing to work by themselves. The leadership went into it. And then on top of just being great guys, they're phenomenal players. We have Teron Jackson, who's down at the Senior Bowl right now. CJ Marable, who had 19 touchdowns as our running back. And a local guy for you guys from Porter Ridge, our quarterback, Grayson McCall, who is absolute dynamite. He's a freaking stud. But, to tell you the truth, the guys make it all happen. As coaches, we kind of guide them, but at the end of the day, we don't step between the white lines and make any plays ourselves. So I got to give all the credit to them. They're phenomenal, and I really can't say enough about them.
Yeah, you mentioned Grayson. We covered him for a long time, and he ran a similar offense to what you guys run, down there at Porter Ridge. And, I know there's a lot of things you can say about him, but what is the one thing that Grayson did in his development from the previous year to this year to put him on that next level to lead you guys so well?
I would just say building confidence. He had all the tools. He has probably the best pocket presence I've ever been around. He has a great mental makeup for a quarterback. He kind of just lets mistakes slide off his back and is like, all right, I'm going to go get the next one. He's extremely competitive. But I think just putting it all together was really just confidence. Continuing to go out there and do it day after day after day and kind of show to everybody, hey, this guy's pretty good. I think we're going to be in good shape. And, just by him being so consistent in what he did, it created that trust both with the offense and I think a lot of confidence and trust with our defensive players as well. So that's what I would attribute it to. I got here last January, so the spring was all I got to see from him. He had a good spring and then really separated himself in fall camp. But I think it was just his consistency to go along with the physical attributes that he showed. Extremely accurate, very fast decision maker, and the pocket presence is unbelievable.
Wow, that's awesome. That's something I know that he developed once he got there, because Porter Ridge, they were 85% run,
Yeah.
throughout his career. So Oh, that's awesome to hear, man. And that's the sign of a great player. You know, we love him here in the Charlotte metro area. And you know, just seeing him lead you guys, you know, was an awesome deal for sure. So let's talk about you, Coach. And I know you just said that you came in January of the past year. So what was your path to come in to Coastal to become the outside linebacker coach?
Well, really for me, I started my coaching career right out of college. I thought I was going to be a strength coach for a long time. So I went to Appalachian State. I was fortunate enough to play for Jerry Moore. I've played for nothing but awesome head coaches in my playing career, whether it was Hal Capps at Western Alamance, Coach Jerry Moore in college. And I was a second semester, fifth year in college. I was doing my internship in the weight room, and I really decided I wanted to get into being a football coach. So Coach Moore got me in touch with Bobby Poss, who was then the head coach at Brevard College, who was a D2 second-year program at the time. And I was able to get on with them. Actually, Paul Hamilton was the head coach when I started there. I worked for Coach Hamilton for 5 years and really did everything imaginable for that football program. Painting fields, ran the weight room, study halls, breakfast checks. I mean, you name it, I did it. I did the laundry, you know, everything. But it makes you so fortunate to have the great support staffs that we have here at Coastal and I've had at other places. And then in 2012, I took a job with Coach Chadwell for the first time at Delta State in Mississippi. Kind of took a chance, took a little bit of a pay cut, and went down there with him, moved 12 and a half hours away to Mississippi, and it was the best decision I made in my life. Got with him. I got with Coach Staggs, our defensive coordinator. We were down there for about 15 months, and Coach Chadwell got the head job at Charleston Southern and moved up there, much closer to home. We had a phenomenal run there. Won a lot of games, 2 conference championships, had, you know, still to this day, some of my favorite players I've ever been around at Charleston Southern. I love those guys. That was such a fun time in my life. And, you know, our football coaching group kind of became a family there. And Coach Chadwell ended up leaving that job to become the OC here at Coastal and head coach in waiting. And in that point, I followed our defensive coordinator, Coach Staggs, to Furman University. We worked for Clay Hendricks there. Greenville's just an awesome place, such a good place. Coaching in the SoCon, can't beat that, being a former SoCon player. And then last January, Coach Chadwell gave me a call. They had a position open up with the outside backers, which I've always coached for him. I've coached D-line at Brevard College. I coached D-line at Furman. But this kind of took me back to outside backers and special teams, which I really love doing. And that's how I got here to Coastal. So it was very nice to, you know, I've worked for Coach Staggs for 7 out of the last 8 years. This is my 3rd coaching job with Coach Chadwell. Coach McGee, our D-line coach, was with us at Charleston Southern and Delta State. Coach Williams, our safeties coach, was with us at Furman. So it's a group that we're very familiar with, and I think we work really well together, and I really couldn't ask for any better. Like, I love coming to work with our guys. I love coming to work with our staff, and you really can't beat it.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And in the beginning of that, you mentioned some big names here, legendary names in the state of North Carolina, as far as coaching wise. And I mean, you know, I would have given a lot just to sit around and soak up, you know, the knowledge of those guys that you mentioned right there, man. That's impressive. But one of the things that I always like to showcase when we have college coaches on is just the winding road that you have to take to get, you know, to these places. And you know, for a lot of our young coaches that want to get to the next level, you know, that's one of the things that, you know, we try to show is you got to, you know, like you said, you stepped out on faith, you know, went down to Delta State and, you know, that was a long way from home, lost some money, but, you know, it ended up paying off, you know, in the end. So that's good stuff, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. And, you
so
know,
from a coaching, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, for all the young coaches, I would recommend two things. Don't do it for the money. Do it because you love to coach and you love to be around the guys. I think that's first and foremost. We liken it to a calling. You're called to coach. I truly believe that. The why we do it is, to help the players, help the other guys. It definitely isn't for money, but money does help and it does come. And that brings me to my second point. Stick it out. There's so many guys that get right on the cusp or they're in a great position starting out, but they just want more right now. And, if you just stick it out, if you just prove your worth, I promise it'll happen for you. You'll get your big break. That moment will come. It might not be on your time. It might be on God's time. And it may be 1 to 2 years later or 3 years later, but stick it out. Stick it out because it's so worth it. So worth it.
Wow, those are some really great words right there. And I think you can apply that to almost anything in life, So thank you for sharing that. Absolutely. So on the field, we always like to ask this question to college coaches. What's your philosophy for your position to be a successful outside linebacker at Coastal Carolina?
All right. For me, it all starts with my favorite saying, effort is non-negotiable. I'm a big effort guy, so for me, I really want our guys to be known for playing with great effort. And that's something I try to chase them around the practice field to make sure they're running after the ball and all that. It's something that means a lot to me. So, when talking about my philosophy, that's where it's all going to start is effort is non-negotiable. The second thing that I try to do as a coach is, let the guys know when they're doing well and when they screw up too. Just be honest with them. Get excited when they do something good. Go out there, celebrate with them a little bit, which has got me in a little bit of trouble in my career. I'm not going to lie. But, the same way with correcting them. And, I think that guys want feedback. They want to know how they're doing. And I think it's good to be honest with them. I tell my guys all the time, we want to work hard, but we also want to have as much fun as we can. I make our guys tell jokes in our meeting room. I make them tell jokes out on the practice field during camp when we're stretching, just to kind of loosen the mood and everything. I really believe as a coach, you can have fun and then click that switch when it's time to get serious, which isn't always easy for the young guys to get used to. Sometimes you kind of got to ease them into it, but I definitely want them to have as much fun as they can in their football experience because it is so much hard work, and they got to love one another. I tell my guys all the time that I love them, and I mean that. And to me and my philosophy, they're not here to work for me. I'm here to work for them. And if I'm helping them reach their goals, then I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. So, with my coaching philosophy, I want to serve the players. I want to love the players. I want them to enjoy it. And all I ask for them is in return is, they give me as much effort as they can, have fun as they're doing it, respect their teammates, show up early if they could. Makes me feel better. I get anxious when they're borderline being late and stuff like that. But everything we do tries to create that bond of trust between me and them and their teammates. And it's worked out really well for me.
So, Coach, if y'all need a 39-year-old, 300-pound outside linebacker, I'm ready to sign up right now.
Hey, absolutely. Absolutely. The beauty of our group is they're two totally different positions. So I really coach a stand-up defensive end, which is our bandit position. And our spur is basically a nickel, a rolled down strong safety. So you're teaching man-to-man coverage with the one, you're teaching pass rush to the other one. And it makes it interesting, which I love. But, I tell my guys all the time this too. I think in life in general, but in football too, one, be coachable. Things are going to change. You have to be adaptable. You have to be able to not quite be stuck in your ways, be proficient in your skills. But if things need to tweak or change, be open to that. And I tell them smooth seas don't make skillful sailors. embrace the suck a little bit. Things are going to happen in your life. I've known they've happened in my personal life and professional life where things go rough, but you learn so much out of those rough things. And when things don't go quite your way, mistakes are some of the best teachers. Hard times are some of the best teachers. Dealing with that adversity, whether it's on the field, off the field, family, work, job, school, you name it. I think that's a good piece of advice I tell my guys all the time. And, mistakes and hard times are okay because you'll come out better for them. And that's where you're going to, learn those skills that'll carry you through life.
Absolutely. Some great words right there, Coach. I appreciate you sharing that, man. We're going to bring on a guy I think you know, Kenny McClamrock.
Absolutely.
He's got a question for you.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Coach, what's up, brother? Am I on mute? Can you guys hear me? What's up, Coach?
What's up, Coach?
How are you, brother?
Oh, I'm great.
Well, so, man, Coach, of course, you've always been one of my favorite coaches to come through, man. We always have great conversations. We always talk about things more than just X's and O's, just about life and that kind of stuff that you've been talking about. I've always appreciated that about you. Of course, when you get to Coastal Carolina, man, like the recruiting's got to go through the roof, the teal field. And, you bring a kid in on a recruiting trip, and you just take them to the beach and you say, let's ball at the beach, baby. This is easy stuff. But you mentioned a minute ago, there's more than that to winning football games. Of course, there's the Myrtle Beach sunscreen or the Little River waterfall, or you got the Horry County top hat or the Shots crash helmet or the Highway 17 neck warmer, the magic of the mullet. Man, I got two questions for you, Coach. You've worked with some of the greatest coaches in the game. Hal Capps, one of the most respected coaches in all of North Carolina public school history. Jerry Moore, one of the most respected coaches across college football. They coached big-time programs for a really long time. And now Coach Chadwell. Number one question, two parts. What's different about Coach Chadwell? Because obviously what he's doing and what you guys are doing, y'all have caught on to something that the rest of America hasn't caught on to yet. Y'all took a 5'9" center and freaking challenged for a national championship this year. And then the second question, maybe I'm just out of the know, but what the heck is up with the mullet, man? Where did that even come from?
All right. So to answer your first question, I think the best thing that Coach Chadwell does is create a culture, without a doubt. Everywhere we've been, he's laid the groundwork for that. We were at Delta State such a short time, but at Charleston Southern, he laid the culture there. And the first thing he tells the team is, what's your job? And that's to love us, and to love our teammates. And, as you do that and you create that identity within the team, guys are going to play harder because they care about the guys next to them. I think we have a culture where we like to have a lot of fun. He has the game by game trophies that we play for every week. That was started at Charleston Southern because we lost a game our first 2 years that we thought we should have won, and it kept us from a conference championship. So we started playing for a trophy every week because every game matters. And that's kind of turned into the wrestling matches and the crazy stuff that you've seen on Twitter from this year that we have a lot of fun with. And Coach Korn is the GOAT of the post-game celebration and championship trophy. Nobody can even touch him. It's not even worth trying. He's that head and shoulders beyond everybody else. But yeah, to sum it up as quickly as possible, Coach Chadwell sets himself apart by creating a culture and having the core values of the football team with competition and effort and sacrifice and passion, to giving your best, which we define as belief, energy, sacrifice, and toughness. All those pillars of our program, along with Be a Man, which started with Coach Moglia, but all those things going in to create a culture of success, and the guys buy into it. And that creates our leadership, that creates the hard work. So I would say that's his greatest attribute. Without a doubt, he has a great pulse. He's a great motivator of men, and he loves our guys to death. He's a great example of a family man. He cares about his players. He cares about us as a staff and our personal lives. So he's just phenomenal on that. As far as the mullets go, I don't know exactly where they started. All I know is I think this is my last haircut before I let my neck warmer start going here. We have some phenomenal ones. I know our long snapper, CJ Shrimp, has an awesome one. Silas Kelly with the 1990 Yammer Yager hockey player mullet, which is just, it's like phenomenal. I love his. And then obviously Teddy gets the most exposure, the Myrtle Beach masterpiece, without a doubt, the Chanticleer chandelier. It's golden. It's gorgeous. It has this own aura of itself. And, they're just a thing of beauty. I mean, they sway in the wind. They look awesome with an airbrush T-shirt. So, I mean, they're so Myrtle Beach. I mean, they fit us. They fit this team. They fit our guys. And, definitely looking forward to them sticking around and creating some more magic for us next year.
Thanks, Coach.
Absolutely. It's great to see you.
Yes, sir.
Oh man, that's some good stuff right there. I can't wait to cut that up. Thank you, Ken. Awesome. Coach, my last question for you is about recruiting. We got a lot of kids here in North Carolina that haven't had a season yet. Most notably our seniors, 2021 kids. How can these guys get seen and evaluated and try to get an offer from coaches such as yourself, when they're in this situation?
I think it is very, very hard. I'll be completely honest with that. I think the 21 class and even the 22 class, I think it's going to be really tough for the 22 class with all the seniors getting an extra year, and kind of just everybody that played this year getting an extra year, how many scholarships are going to be available. It is a tough thing. I feel very bad, especially for seniors in the state of North Carolina that didn't get to play early on, because there's a lot of guys that are going to slip through the cracks because of that. But I would recommend this. I think the easiest thing to do for a guy from North Carolina is, once you've played the first 3 games, go ahead and make a short highlight film, something early, something that shows your improvement from your junior year to now your senior year. You should have had, 18 months in the weight room to really get in there and get better, and work hard. So the film is one of the first things, first and foremost. So any sort of short highlight film they can put together as early as possible will really help. And make sure your grades are right. Grades hurt so many guys. And in this time, obviously the test score isn't as important now with COVID, but making sure your core GPA is on track, because you're in your second semester. So where your grades are as a senior are really close to where they're going to finish. There's not going to be pulling a rabbit out of the hat by any means. So I would say making a short film as quickly as possible, even if it has a little bit of scrimmage film or something like that, anything that can show you competing against other players as soon as possible, and keep those grades as high as you possibly can.
Awesome. Thank you for that advice, Coach. That's going to go a long way for a lot of these guys that are, really struggling right now to, get seen without, the game film. So, we'll definitely pass that on, through our social media outlets. Coach, I want to thank you so much for coming on with us tonight. I can only imagine how busy, you guys' schedule is, on a year-round basis these days. So, we really do appreciate it. And, hopefully we can, follow up once, the fall comes around, and you can come back on and, share some more mullet stories with us.
Hey, I would love that. And hopefully when I come back on, I'll have a little mullet of my own. We started spring ball practice 1 today. So winter ball number 1 is in the books. And thank you so much for having me. This was a blast, and I would love to come back anytime y'all will have me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Coach. We appreciate it, man.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right. You too, bud. All right, so that was Coastal Carolina outside linebackers coach Josh Miller joining us, sharing a lot of great information about the great season they had down at Coastal Carolina. We heard some stories about the mullet magic and all that good stuff going on down in Conway. So we'll cut up, some of that stuff, and we'll get it out on social media. If you missed, the full interview, of course, you can always catch it back when the show is over on our social media channels, on Facebook and on YouTube. And we'll share those links out, as soon as the show is over. But now we are actually a little ahead of schedule. So I want to go ahead and bring back Kenny. Oh, there's the coach still there with us. There we go. All right, little technical issue going on right there. But so Kenny, we're gonna talk about the South Piedmont 3A here in just a second. But you've got a lot of knowledge about this conference. Obviously, you played at Concord, and actually, we played against each other back in the late '90s when Harding made a brief foray into the 3A, and we played in the South Piedmont Conference. So what are your best memories from your playing days over at Concord High School?
Well, I was fortunate enough to play for another legendary coach, one of the premier coaches. He's a Hall of Fame coach in the state of North Carolina, E.Z. Smith. And, we've talked about this on the show that one of the things that, Coach Smith did so well was he was a master motivator. He knew how to get you to be willing to run through a brick wall. I mean, if he told us to go lay down on the yellow line, we were going to go and lay down on the yellow line because we just had that much belief in him. He was so good at fitting the pieces together. And, of course, when you do that and you have some talent and you have other great coaches on staff, I played for some great coaches at Concord, you win a lot of football games. You're really successful. And we were 24 minutes away from playing for the state championship game my senior year. The only team we lost to my junior year was to A.L. Brown, who won the state championship that year in 1997. My junior year, first round of the playoffs, we went up to Mooresville, and we beat a team that was pretty stinking good. Had Corey Alexander, who was a stud player. We followed that up the next week by going to the defending state champions, who was Hickory High School, that had won 26 games in a row, and we beat the mess out of them. In fact, we took a knee inside the 10-yard line in the fourth quarter. We could have beaten them worse than what it was. And then the next week we ran into A.L. Brown, and they beat us for the second time that year, 5-0. But the bell game, when you play it at Concord, the bell game back then, there were 150, 175 people in the band and the cheerleaders and the shows that you have at a school of tradition like Concord. When we played Brown, you burn the wonder, and you have a wonder funeral, and you have a parade, and you do all these different things, and the school shuts down really for a week. There are little caves all over the floor that you walk on, and there are spider webs hanging from all the windows and the ceilings. Just really neat stuff. Of course, Concord, they had the steps they walked down. That was pretty neat. And then, as a coach, coaching both in the SBC and against the SBC, there's so much talent in Cabarrus County. I believe that the SBC, even right now, is probably the second best 3A league in the state behind, the school with Weddington, the league with Weddington, and those guys in it. This pretty stinking good. It's just this dominant right now. But there are so many players that come to mind, so many NFL guys that come to mind, so many great college players that come to mind, so many great coaches. Coaches in Cabarrus County, me being the exception, maybe, they come to Cabarrus County and they stay. They're grandfathers at schools, whose grandsons play for the same coach almost. They're there for a long time because the county is awesome. The facilities are awesome. The county itself is awesome. The fans are incredible. We've got fans in Cabarrus County like most schools don't have. No offense to Charlotte, but even the top Charlotte schools who compete for state championships are lucky when they play in front of 2,000 people. Our first year at North Mac in 2002, we played a game in front of 77 people. It was incredible. At Concord, you play for the bell in front of 12 to 14,000 people. And a bad game is when over 5,000 people show up. Central Cabarrus, we had tremendous community support. They had people that followed us wherever we went. Of course, A.L. Brown and Memorial Stadium. They've got the perch. I mean, how neat is that? The K, it used to light up way different than it does now. They got fireworks that they shoot off. There's a cannon that they shoot off. Of course, Northwest, it's a soaking wet field, but they've got a beautiful bowl similar to like a mini Concord's field or a mini Mount Pleasant's field. I love the stadiums. I love the history. I love the coaches. And there are so many great names that have been through Cabarrus County.
Absolutely, man. I remember at Harding, one of the things that we had to get used to was going to games where there were a lot of people.
I'm sorry. Now, I see Coach Lucky. No, Coach Lucky's jumped on, and Coach Lucky found a film of me on YouTube, or found a film of us on YouTube, and I wore long sleeves, so he always gives me a hard time about my sleeves.
I tell you, we used to have a lot of people that come to see the band. So then after halftime, everybody would leave. So we would, when I remember the first time we went up, I think our first road game was at Northwest Cabarrus, and like you said, it had that bowl, and you walked down inside. You didn't really have that in Charlotte. So we got up there, we were like, "Oh wow,
yeah,
this is what it's like outside the city." And we lost that game on a controversial field goal we thought we made, and they said it was no good, and I thought it was good. I was down on the field after crabbing my guy on the field goal block and looked up. It looked good to me, but And then the next week we played West Rowan at home. We lost on a 48-yard field goal. Who loses on that in high school? I mean,
we did to Northwest Cabarrus in 1998. 47-yard field goal. Zach Bain, I haven't forgotten about you, sucker.
Well, let's bring in Cherie because she's here. I don't know where the rest of the crew is. Everyone's just kind of got scattered all of a sudden. So we're gonna look at this, and I'll get some feedback here because let me get this right here in just a second. Let's see here. We're gonna do some conference predictions. Now these are mine. It's gonna say Charlotte, our Football Focus Weekly, but these are mine. So don't get mad at Kenny or
don't be hating on me. It would be all simple if I was putting the guys on there.
So I'm thinking this is what we look like right now. So A.L. Brown, I got number one. Obviously great coaching with Coach Newsom and gosh, I'm forgetting his name. We had him on the show, the offensive coordinator. Yes, Coach Merritt. I mean, those guys, obviously some good coaching. The quarterback play with Cameron Croma. We're going to get into players here in just a minute. But I got them preseason number one. Number two, Cox Mill. They got the great quarterback in Varney Farmbula, committed to Navy. And then, of course, Coach Baker, who we had on the show recently, is now taking that position from Coach Stewart, who is he's retired from North Carolina, right? And then went down to South Carolina. Okay. All right, cool. So we got Cox Mill second, and then your old stomping grounds up at Central Cabarrus, I got them third. Good talent on both sides of the football. I'll let you talk about those guys since obviously you know a little bit about them.
Kannapolis is one of the premier traditional powerhouses in North Carolina. They've got such a great fan base. Of course, they have a state championship winning coach in Coach Newsom. They're always going to have great players. A big question mark for Kannapolis is they've lost two of their really, really important coaches. Coach Hag, who was their strength coach for 20 years almost, has retired and moved down to South Carolina. And then Coach Lipscomb, who has been their defensive coordinator, who we had on the show earlier in the year as well, has moved on to Olympic, to Charlotte and the challenges that brings. So it'll be interesting. They have a young defensive coordinator who's a Kannapolis graduate. It'll be interesting to see how much control Coach Newsom gives to him. It'll be interesting to see what that transition. Of course, Coach Gray, Charlie Gray, one of my favorite people in the world, head coach at Hopewell, is their new offensive line coach. And I say new, he's been there for a couple of years as well. Coach Gray is the man. I tried to get him on everywhere I was a head coach, but could never make it happen. But Coach A.L. Brown is loaded. They've got a big, strong quarterback. They always have wide receivers. You never knew there were so many 6'3", 200-pound wide receivers out there. They have one of the best defensive players in the area with the right kid who plays outside linebacker. We were fortunate. He had a concussion, I believe. He didn't play versus us. I shouldn't say that. He didn't play versus us, but he was so freaking good on film, and we had prepared. What the heck are we going to do versus him? Of course, Cox Mill always has some of the biggest athletes in the county. I don't know where they come from, but right there across the line from Charlotte, Coach Baker we had on a few weeks ago. They've got the top quarterback, not in Charlotte, maybe in the state. I love that kid. They always have good defensive linemen. They always have good wide receivers, and they always have good offensive linemen. But they graduated several receivers. Coach Lucky, who's already chatted, has got one of their kids down there at Mississippi Valley State. So it'll be interesting to see what they do on such a short turnaround. And then, of course, Central Cabarrus, man, these kids are near and dear to my heart. I love these kids. They've got talent on both sides of the ball. I mean, Elijah Horton is one of the top players in the county. He just does so much. He works so hard. He's a true throwback kind of kid. And then, of course, I'll just go ahead and finish it. Matt Pep, if it's okay. Northwest, of course, has a new coach, and Coach Morrow's coming from North Mech. How much of the cupboard is going to be left? I mean, they graduated so many guys from those past two conference championship teams. Some of them left to go to the new school because of the redistricting. So it'll be interesting to see what they have. Northwest has had some really big boys as well. They've had multiple offensive and defensive linemen go on to play Division I football here recently. You know, West Cabarrus is the young school, but I'm going to tell you something. West Cabarrus' freshman class is the top freshman class in Cabarrus County. It's not even close. The boys who played at J.M. Freeze lost one football game in 7th and 8th grade combined. They have a ton of athletes. And that school, don't be surprised for West Cabarrus to be kind of the new school, the new it school. Of course, Coach Gentry does a great job anyhow, but you've got 3 turf fields. I'll just leave it at that. And Phil Furr, who does a great job as athletic director. Of course, my boys at Robinson, man, D-Rob, that's my dude. That's my brother from another mother. They've got one of my old quarterbacks in Blue Monroe, who, Pep, you know well. And then I think they have the most dynamic offensive player in the county in Bryson Mason. He's a stud kid. He's a game changer, especially at our level. And then at Concord, you know, there's just a lot of question marks. They have to answer. They've been down for 2 straight years, you know, 1-win seasons, not Concord football. You know, what have they done to make strides over the last 15 months since they played their last game? You know, Coach Paxton is a heck of a football coach. He won a conference championship at Hickory Ridge as kind of their brand new coach. He opened up that school. They beat us on a bullcrap play, but we'll leave that one alone. But, you know, what have they done to make strides over the last 15 months? That's a lot of pride in that place. And they've invested a lot of money into that school, even since he's been there in the weight room and on the game field and the concession stands now. And the community, man, they're used to 12,000 people showing up for a Concord High School football game. So it'll be interesting to see what they do now when maybe things are a little bit more balanced because of the situation that we're in. And, yeah.
Well,
but it will be number 1 in my book.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead and share. What would your order be, Coach?
No, I think honestly, I think you've got it pretty sticking close. A.L. Brown should always compete for the conference championship, and then I think that number 2, number 3 spot, kind of like where it's been the last couple of years. You know, it comes down to a couple of plays. You know, 2 years ago we were a couple of plays away from being second in the league. We got beat by Coxville. And then, you know, Cox Mill and Central, they're right there at it. And once again, I think that Northwest is a year away from being maybe the top contender for many years to come. And you know, we'll see what D-Rob and Coach Paxton can do at Concord and Coach Mormon at Northwest. But I think you're pretty sticking close. I think it's A.O. Brown and then Cox Mill, Central Cabarrus. I might give the edge to Central Cabarrus because their coach has been there a little bit longer. And Coach Bev, and those are my guys, and Elijah Horton and Tavion Glover and those kind of kids. But I think you're pretty sticking close.
Well, we got 2 more people that have joined us. Coach Bills came back from a 30-minute lunch break.
Nah,
then,
I had to wish my daughter. I'm a dad, and I got a text from a very important 2-year-old saying, "Hey, I need to talk to you before I go to bed," and that's what happened. Oh Lord!
Wow!
Oh Lord! Great charge!
Oh,
First time in
South Carolina on the show.
First time in season 2.
You got them transitional lenses on. You've been having a lot of jokes lately. Got them transitional lenses on. God, dog, man, it's good to see you, Joe.
I got the clock behind me. I got the clock behind me letting you know your time is up.
We really need that. Yes, we do. My goodness. Oh, all right.
Hey, man, it's good to see you, man.
No doubt.
All right. So, either one of you guys have any thoughts on our South Piedmont order right here?
That is, you know what? I really can't say it because I got friends on a lot of them staffs. Yeah, I'll leave my comments to myself. But I think A.L. Brown's the best team right now. But like I said, Zach Bev at Central Bears, he got, I don't know, Cox Mill got a lot of talent, but Bate getting there a little late. And now, I don't know, West Cabarrus could be really good, man. They took some pieces from Northwest Cabarrus, so I don't know.
I got one for you, pal. I'm gonna go ahead and say the top 3 I agree with. But I got faith in my guy. I'm gonna say D-Rob, they're gonna shock a lot of people this year.
Oh yeah, and he got a quarterback.
I got Dan Robinson at number 4.
He got a quarterback too.
Okay.
I said, that top 3, you just don't know, but I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised you see 2 through 6 change.
The other thing to keep in mind, let's be real about it. I'm going to toot my horn a little bit. Central Cabarrus is on a 2-game win streak versus A.L. Brown. So as soon as Coach Bev got hired, I called him up. I said, Coach, just so you know, I know you played for Coach Newsom, but Central Cabarrus does not lose to A.L. Brown in football anymore. We changed that 3 years ago, just so you know.
Now, like you said, Central Cabarrus could win that. And then you got talent like Northwest Cabarrus. You got talent, man. Hey, you got some good coaches. That's a bunch of good coaches in there.
Absolutely. All right, so let's go. What am I trying to say? We're gonna look at some players. There we go. Too much sipping out of this cup. We're gonna look at some players.
That's what Joe was doing before he came on. That's why he hadn't been here.
That's why I got glasses on.
Yeah, I know. We call him Brown Joe.
The last hour of the show is always the most interesting. So for you 21 people that have stuck with us, you're in for a treat. All right. So players to watch for A.L. Brown. Of course, the one that I'll speak on is Cameron Croma. I've interviewed him a couple of times. He's been at our camp. He won the quarterback MVP for the Under the Lights Part 2. Left-hander, 6'3", very smooth over-the-top delivery. The coaches we had at the camp said that, they feel like he's going to be out of their league. Of course, you can only have the D2, D3, and JUCO guys, so they loved him, but they admitted that they think he's going, D1. So that's the guy I like from A.L. Brown.
You gotta have a lot more faith in yourself. You just can't put yourself out. Nothing's out of your league. That's for all you young brothers. No woman's at your league. Just go.
Comb your hair, bro.
Shut up. Change the color of your lenses. You know what? Let's go.
Okay.
I'm trying to be good right now before I get muted.
So Kenny has alluded to, the outside linebacker Torn Wright. He's got offers from everyone you can think of. He's, a physically imposing player, moves very well, on film. The linebacker Brock Morgan I added, to the list. I interviewed this kid a few months ago. He's a class president. He's a 4.0 GPA kid. On the field, he's very intelligent. He had a really strong JV season. He's 5'11", 180, kind of more of a, outside backer type. But, a kid like that is really, every team needs a kid like that can be a leader and be smart and get everybody set up and lined up in the right position. So, that's one of my favorites right there. You guys got any comments on these guys right here?
No, quarterback legit.
Yeah.
Like legit.
Thank you, Billups. I appreciate that. Let's move on. All right.
Put that solo cup down, please.
I'm good.
Hey man, you disrespect. Oh man. I hope Coach Paxton get you for this. You never put no kicker and pump.
What is it?
You never did. That's disrespect, man.
Kenny, can you please come on and set him straight here, please?
Yeah, Isaiah Clark is a heck of an athlete. In fact,
I know. I'm just messing with him.
It could be argued that he may be the best athlete on that team, and that ain't me trying to throw shade. Like, they use him as a weapon and pump fakes. And let me tell you, you have a bad snap, that joker's gone, man. I mean, that joker can run. He's a track guy. He's a good athlete. Eddie is agreeing with me. And
Well, he just said he's the best athlete on the team.
Eddie Conway.
You know what? I'm gonna sit this one. I'm not gonna make no comment. I don't know nothing about no comparison count.
The other kid that really stands out to me is the Caius Hartzell kid. His brother was a Shrine Bowl player. Played in the Shrine Bowl when Derek Boykins from Central played in the Shrine Bowl. He's at Wingate now. Caius started as a freshman for them at I think it was their left tackle as a freshman. Concord was really young last year, so a lot of these guys are still really young. So once again, I think that there'll be a lot to see what has Concord done over the last 15 months. What kind of program has Coach Paxton now built in his third year? What's that culture like? What Coach Miller was talking about earlier that Concord has inside their field house.
Very good. Just to pass on, the Hornets have lost again by 10 to the Indiana Pacers. So
put the superstar in there. Start him. He ain't a role player.
You were not talking about here. You were talking about Zoe. He was talking about Zoe because the Pelicans are trading him. Good gracious, Kenny.
The older brother.
Yeah, good gracious, Kenny.
Get out of here, that mess, man.
You trying to mess us up already.
I shouldn't have said nothing. That's my bad. I should have known better. I'm sorry.
God, man, you gotta say the older one, not the Kenny boy. God, Lamar don't come see you calling Bates. I thought you were talking about somebody else. That's why I got nervous.
See, when you make a mistake, the professional thing to do is just keep going. No one would have noticed if you hadn't said it.
You know what? I ain't no saying nothing. Good job. You did good. Okay, every time I make a statement, I get muted. Watch.
I haven't muted you yet.
Here it comes.
I have not muted you yet.
It's coming.
I told you, you get muted when you least expect it. That's when it comes.
It's always expected.
Players to watch for Cox Mill. They got a lot of good players on this list, man. So Varney Farnbull, like I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I noticed him at a under the radar camp one summer. I think he was going into his junior year, and nobody really knew who he was. But I mean, he was impressive, man. He really stood out. Left-handed kid, athletic. He can be dual threat. The middle linebacker, Sekou Rowland. I looked at his film, earlier today. I mean, what a really good looking player, man. 6'2", moves well, good size. And the tight end athlete, Reed Mitchell's a 6'4" kid. Kenny, what can you say about these guys?
I'm unmuted. You said it. I mean, these guys are always athletic. They always have great size. A lot of these kids come from some financial means, and so that's not an issue with these kids. I think the knock on Cox Mill for a long time, just being real with you, is that their players were a little bit soft, especially when it came into pressure situations. But the last 2 years, Coach Stewart and his staff did such a good job to change that culture. Once again, I think even with the 6-month lag in hiring a head coach, Coach Baker's really walking into a good situation here. A very similar type kid to what he coached at Huff. a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, a little bit of a swag in their walk. They've got beautiful facilities. They have a beautiful school. It's a decade old, barely. This is a great situation, man. And Cox Mill always has the athletes to compete for conference championships.
Well said. I agree on that one, man. All right. I'll just let you talk about those guys right there. I know you talked about a few of them.
Elijah Horton, man, one of the hardest workers I've ever been around. Just an incredible athlete, an incredible player. He's a throwback kid. He sacrifices his body literally for his team, for his players. He's got multiple Division II offers. I think he's a twinner kid. If we would have had a spring, if we would have had a summer, I think that he probably would have picked up some FCS looks. But he played safety for us. He's more of a linebacker at the next level. I don't know what Coach Bev has out there, so I won't tell you what they're counting on him playing for him this year, but expect him to be at linebacker and pretty much everywhere else. He's not coming off the field ever. Like, it's going to be like middle school football where that really fast dude played everything, and he's going to play everything. Kevin Clerge was committed to North Carolina A&T back in the summertime. Numbers game, like what Coach Miller talked about with fifth-year seniors coming back. Lost that just before the early signing period. So he's starting to get back into the game. He's picked up several offers here, even in the past week or two. Tavion Glover played at North Meck, transferred to us as a junior, was an all-conference linebacker. He's 6'2". He's super, super long. He's super, super slippery. He just got off of blocks. You couldn't block him. He did a great job in tight spaces with his run fits, and I think he's going to be a year stronger. He wasn't very strong at all when he came to us. He's going to be a year stronger now, which is going to benefit him. Mekhi Dunn is one of my all-time favorite players, man. Mekhi, if you're listening, you know how much I love you, man. Great kid. He can do everything. I'll never forget last spring, Danny Pearman from Clemson was at our practice, and we're running sprints before spring practice began, and Mekhi is just smoking it. And Coach Pearman goes, "Coach, who is that joker? Because that dude can fly." That's the kind of kid he is. We played Sun Valley early on, put him in down in the red zone versus the Blackwell kid from Sun Valley who's pretty sticking good. Of course, they see that. They throw 2 jump balls to him in the end zone, and Mekhi Dunn, number 14, Central Bears, came down the winner of both of those one-on-one balls. Just a great player. Jaden Hastings started an offensive tackle for us last year. Crazy story. We had a bunch of kids who we convinced to come out as sophomores a year ago, last season, a year and a half ago. Jaden was one of those. He had never played football before in his life, played a little bit as a sophomore, got a little bit meaner, got a little bit tougher, worked his butt off in the weight room. He's 6'3". He was 270 last year. I haven't seen him in a while, admittedly, but he's going to have a heck of a senior year. Gabe Talahambu is another one of those dudes with like a 4-point, a whole lot GPA. African parents, man. I mean, just genius kid, super strong. I mean, going into his junior year, he's bench pressing 300+ pounds, works his butt off, does everything the right way, coaches up everybody on the offensive line. And then I think another newcomer, kind of like Jaden, had never played football before last year, his sophomore year. In fact, he was a soccer and a basketball player. We convinced him to come out, and that's Emerson Baker. He's 6'4", 300+ pounds, and Coach Bev has made an incredible move. He immediately moved him to center, which I think is an incredible place. He works out with those guys in Charlotte, the whole group or whatever it is. So when you see the pictures, the really big, light-skinned, blonde-haired white guy that is like bigger than everybody, that's Emerson, man. I'm so excited because I think he's going to end up being an FCS scholarship type player, and this year is going to be huge for him. But there are other guys on this team, so many guys who have worked so hard. But those are 6 or 7 guys that really stand out for me. I think the Central Bears should have the best offensive line in the South Piedmont, which we haven't been able to say the last couple of years just because we've been so small and undersized and new at that position. But they have 3.5, almost 4 starters back. There are some other guys there who got a lot of experience for us last year. Mikello and Keon and Jose, I'm talking to you 3 guys. But I'm excited to see what Coach Bev does with these guys.
Awesome.
No alignment legit. The old linemen are legit, and that Clergy kid, that's the corner. What side was he on when we played? Ken?
He was number 2.
Yeah, he's legit.
He's the long, light-skinned kid.
Yeah, and then the linemen, them the 3 linemen that play against us too, right?
So Emerson, the last kid, was on JV, but Jaden was our left tackle.
That's the monster that was
that
on
was
JV.
The big kid on JV.
Yeah, I was like, who in the world?
But the other 2 kids, Jaden and Gabe, were our 2 tackles on either side.
Well, I don't give you some flowers right quick. I don't go ahead and tell y'all, them 3 linemen, they legit. That was one thing when you looked at them on film, you was like, oh man, they're small. There's some small guys. Them guys were legit. And then the Horton kid, just watch him lift on. That's a workout junkie. And the Clergy kid is just, hey, he could play man, he could play zone. Hey, he do all. He's long. He's what you like.
I know that Cowboy Joe loves wrestling, professional wrestling. Like Elijah Horton is the ultimate warrior. Meets like the freaking what were the brothers' names that came in?
Bushwhackers. The Bushwhackers.
Yes, the Bushwhackers. He's those 2 characters combined. Maybe even a Scott Steiner combined in there as well. Like that's his mentality. He runs everywhere. Like if you saw the program where the dude's eyes got really big starting defense, like that's Elijah Horton.
Well, we don't want you to be like him for real.
That's how he lives like that. He practices like that. He plays like that. Super smart kid, man. He's a stud. And he's going to be a stud at the next level.
He's a junkie, man. He's a workout junkie, man. He's a stud.
So I got a couple comments I need to address because I had my notes up on the side. Coach Lucky's a little mad that I guess I had Concord last. But I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what to say. Justin asked me what's in the cup.
Don't tell him. It's juice. It's a Powerade smoothie, Justin. God, dog, man. Lord Jesus. We about to get banned. We about to get banned for 10 yards.
I had a smoothie earlier. You know, my girl made a smoothie, and it was good. But it didn't have Powerade in it.
Did it have blueberries in it? My man said he wanted
she got some chia seeds. Like these chia seeds are supposed to be like real healthy or something. So I don't know. She made it real good. I mean, it was really good. So we got was it a ninja thing or something?
Yeah,
that's the name of the blender.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
my wife.
No, Ninja, Fruit Ninja did it for you. Look, mute. Watch, mute. It's coming. I said Fruit Ninja.
No,
mad now.
No, I'm not. No, I'm fine. I'm fine. All right. So
thank you, Solo.
We got we have Coach Paxton ready to go. So let's get our stuff together, and we're gonna bring him on here as soon as I stop sharing this. All right. We're gonna bring Coach Paxton on right now. So here we go. All right. So here we go. We're going to bring Coach Paxton on from Concord High School. Good evening, Coach. How we doing, sir?
I'm doing all right, Pep, man. How are you, buddy?
Man, I'm doing all right, man. It's been a long show. We had good people on. No, man, we saving the best for last. We're saving the best for last. We promoted you coming on at 9:30. A lot of people were excited that you were going to be on. So I suspect here in the next couple minutes, we're going to have a lot of people jump on and check out what you got to say about, your Spiders, this season. So first off, I'll just lead with that. What are you guys looking like for the upcoming season? And who are some guys that we can look out for from you guys?
Oh, very excited about what we got going on, man. We're going to be young. But we got some good young kids that got a lot of playing time last year as sophomores. But we got some good kids coming back. Probably going to be led by Caden Pursuti as a DB and some skill position on offense. I don't know exactly where he's going to end up on offense, but he's going to be on offense anywhere from wide receiver to quarterback, to slot, not sure. at the offensive and defensive line. Jamison Hackett, possibly even some running back. Caius Hartzell, offensive lineman. He'll be a 3-year starter this year as a junior. Jacob Melton coming in as a DB, wide receiver, slot type kid. Ja'Cory James as a running back, slot linebacker. And then probably I guess I can't say secret weapon because Kenneth is on here and he knows him, but our weapon man is our punter. He's probably the fastest kid in the school. Plays soccer, really good soccer player, but he's also going to play some slot and wide receiver for us too.
Oh, I was muted there. Sorry about that, but that's great, man. That's great. That's good stuff. And we kind of went through some of those guys. We did some players to watch for each team in the conference. And, Kenny did talk about, the punter, talking about the fake punts that you ran on those guys last year. And, has said some really nice things about them.
Yeah. Those were some of those that were uncalled or that I didn't even know about. I had my special teams coordinator come by and say, hey, man, by the way, we're faking that one. And they get a first it's one of those things the head coach, and he understood it, and I trusted him to do it.
Oh, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, so mainly we're doing this at 9:30 because of, practice. You had to practice tonight, and we've got the pandemic going on, which is necessitating a lot of these different changes that are going on. What are some of the challenges you guys have had to face at Concord because of the COVID-19 situation?
One thing has been transportation. I mean, for the most part, getting kids there because of, they don't drive. Parents have to get off work and get them there. We didn't start practice till 6 o'clock tonight. I get out at 8, get home and get some supper. I want to see my kids for a few minutes, put them to bed, and now we're here. But that's the biggest issue, I think. And now, I think as everybody's facing right now is all the wet weather. Cold is okay, but when you got cold and wet and, in the wintertime, as Kenneth will know, anytime at Concord, the fields don't drain very well. The game field doesn't drain at all. And the practice field is usually pretty good, but it's so saturated right now that, there's no time to get it dry during the day. So that's one of the biggest issues we have.
Yeah, we had a little technical issue there, but we got it about the fields not draining. Seems to be a problem with any grass field around here. We talk about a lot in Charlotte, the inequities with turf fields versus grass fields. And we're getting ready to go into, playing a season in February and March. And, we know how the winters are here. We get a lot of cold rain and, that's going to put a lot of teams at a big disadvantage, this upcoming season. So, Coach, we were talking earlier about, all the CMS stuff, the pausing and the restarting and then the pausing again. If you were a CMS head coach, what are your thoughts on what they are doing, in this Mecklenburg County that Charlotte is in?
I would be very, very, very stressed, as I know a lot of people are.
Yeah.
And as I've stressed with our county leaders here in Cabarrus County that we are 11 months out of the weight room. And there's schools that we're going to be playing that have been lifting weights since July. So we are at a definite disadvantage. And just like some of your the southwestern side of, well, heck, I guess all of Mecklenburg County really, because they're mixed in with Iredell and they're mixed in with Union.
Mm-hmm.
They got to play teams that have been lifting since July. And it's a big struggle. One of my biggest fears is an injury factor, just because we haven't had the chance to lift weights. Yes, don't get me wrong. We focus a lot on conditioning, change of direction, body weight strength, but that doesn't compare to getting in the weight room and doing a power clean. Let's be real. When another team up the road, up Highway 29 from us, is in there and they got guys, 10 or 15 guys, power cleaning over 300 pounds. And we don't have a guy that's power clean since March 13th. And that's a definite disadvantage. And I know that Mecklenburg County schools were at that same disadvantage. And then now, I mean, it's real unfortunate for those guys and women that are in the playoffs. There's no in-person practices. I mean, it's just like, hey, let's show up, and let's get after it. See how we do. Roll the dice. I mean, that's every coach's nightmare. We hate to any time where you can't see your kids a day before you play, whether you talk to them or whether you practice. Just not being able to see them physically in person is a struggle.
Yeah, can you imagine going up and trying to get ready for a first round playoff game with no practice?
Yeah. I mean, and especially, I mean, football, basketball, whatever. But I mean, you think of volleyball, man, the timing and getting those balls up in the air. I know a lot of those girls play club volleyball, probably, especially at those schools where they are, and so they probably are afforded the opportunity to continue to practice. But it may not be together as that same unit of 6 girls. I mean, there may be different club teams, but it's not a good situation.
No, it's far from ideal, and we try to, be real with people on, everything that's going on. So I appreciate you, sharing your opinion on that. Yeah. So a lot of people that watch us may not know, but, you went to Concord, you played at Concord, and now you're coaching, at your alma mater. So what is that like? I mean, is it weird? Do you feel a lot of pressure? Do you hear from your old teammates about, different things going on with the program? What is that? What is that experience like?
Oh, it's a roller coaster right now. I mean, it's a roller coaster because at first it was up here. We were, everybody's excited, and we came in, and we weren't as successful as I had hoped to be, or as probably everyone in Concord past tradition has expected. But there's been a lot of changes at Concord High School. We're almost 2A enrollment. We're not very far from 2A. And some of the old heads are going to say, "Oh, we were that way back in the 80s and 90s," and we were probably 900 to 1,000 students, about where we're sitting right now. But Cabarrus County wasn't near as big either. You had about 4 high schools then, and now you got 7 or 8. I can't remember the number. So it's a lot different. There's not a lot of growth in the 28025, the city of Concord. There's a lot of growth outside of Concord, and that's where most of the people are moving to. So that, that's the way it is. And yes, there's a lot of pressure, man. And some of that, obviously, I put on myself because I want to walk in those doors and do what my predecessors did. And actually Coach Smith was my head coach. And at that time, my position coach was Coach Padgett. So the last 2 guys that have been there, I have known since I was probably 10 years old. Maybe not Coach Padgett quite that early, but with Coach Smith, definitely. And I grew up dreaming of being a Concord Spider. Actually, where the district I lived in at the time, I was districted to go to Northwest Cabarrus, but they changed the district right before I went to middle school and put me at Concord. So in my eyes, I had a dream come true. And because, I'm at a lot of ball games and I'm seeing walk down the steps, in a tradition of Concord High School. And man, it was such a dream of mine to go play there. And then to get to walk down the steps as a player was great. But the first night I walked down as a coach was a whole different feeling. I've been in the stadium coaching against Concord, but it's nothing like being on that side of the stadium where the press box is compared to the other side where everybody hates you. At least on this side, some people love me and a lot of people hate me. That's just the way it is when you're a head coach at Concord High School. That's the, I guess I'll say, the luxury you're afforded when you get there. You know it. You know the territory, man. You know what you're getting into. But I love Concord High School. I love being a head coach there. And my plan is to, bring back the tradition that we've had. And yes, we've struggled a little bit, but I think the group we have right now, they're very committed and buying into what we do.
Yeah, and I understand the feeling. I was in 2014, I was offensive coordinator at Harding, and kind of similar situation. Numbers were down as they typically are at Harding. They had come off a very tough year. And we actually won the first game, 40, I think it was 46-20 or something over Garinger. And, we scored 46 points and everybody went crazy. And then we had West Charlotte the next week and we hung tough with them. And, I think we lost by a touchdown or something. So everyone was kind of feeling like, yeah, and, you start getting the pats on the back, like you said, from your teammates and everyone. And, then, things started going down and you start feeling the pressure and, you feel bad about it because you want to, you want the best for your school. It's just natural. It's just natural. So, I can totally relate, to everything you're saying right there. The guy, Kenny McClamrock, has a question for you.
Go ahead,
I'm going to bring him on right now.
Shoot it to me, man. What's up, man?
What's up, man? How are you?
Hey, man, I loving life, man. On this side of the grass, it's in good shape.
Daggone right. I'm not going to lie. You just talked about exactly what I was going to ask you, of course, what it was like coming back to Concord, what it was like walking down the steps for the first time, and you just hit up all that. So I'll just take it from, a Concord guy, man. Graduated from Concord, Spider. Of course, we met. I was a freshman in high school, and you were home from Christmas break and coming to wrestling practice and rolling around the mats with us. Man, what has this offseason been like? I mean, obviously, it's been so crazy with the pandemic and not lifting weights now for 11-plus months and haven't played a football game in between football games for 15 months. And then you talked about kind of the struggles of the past 2 years. What have y'all done this offseason, especially here recently, man, with all the ups and downs of the summer and the fall time and are we going to play or not going to play? How have you grown as a coach this year? But more importantly, what are y'all doing as a team, I guess, to make sure that last year doesn't happen again, to make sure that you guys take another step, to make sure that you guys get back to where you were when you were at Hickory Ridge, man, and you were competing for conference championships? What's been different this year for you guys, if that makes sense?
Honestly, Ken, I think it's been slowing things down, man. I came in with I mean, I still have high hopes and dreams, and you know me. I'm not going to be somebody to downplay things. I got high hopes and dreams, and I still do, and we're going to be there. But I've had to take a step back and understand that it took me 9 years to get to where probably about 5 or 6 years to get to where we were at Hickory Ridge. And you can't do that in 5 or 6 months. And I think the pandemic has helped me, honestly, to sit back, think about things, keep things simple, to slow down on install things, to focus on the little things of coaching in general. But it's been a struggle for me personally because I'm not a guy that wants to go out and be the forefront of anything. But I'm a relationship builder. I want to be with kids. I want to build relationships with them, get them to trust me. I get to trust them. And that's been the biggest struggle for me as a person and as a coach and as a teacher. I mean, most coaches don't get in this business, unless you like to be a relationship building person. And that's why I'm in it. Yes, I love coaching football and coaching wrestling and all that stuff. But, you get in it to build relationships. And that's been a struggle for me. And it's kind of hard to do over this screen, over this camera here, man. And you try to build relationships just so when you get to see those kids, I want to make it the highlight of their day when I get to see them, because I want them to understand that it's the highlight of my day to get to see some of my family kids. Yes, I love my family here at my house, and my house knows, my kids know, my wife knows that those kids are part of our family too. And just to understand that I want to help those kids in any way I can. And it's hard when I can't see them in person. And, I'm a high five and hugging kind of dude. And it's hard. It's really hard. And I don't know, we're not doing anything special, I don't think, as far as the coaching staff. We're just letting kids know, hey, we're here for you. We're going to meet with you online, or be in person when we can. But, we just try to show our kids love and make our practices be the highlight of their day.
Absolutely. Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, man. Thank you, Kenneth.
Thanks, Ken. Good stuff, man. All right, Coach. We got Joe Hughes, who's on our panel. He covers a lot of different areas here in the Charlotte metro area with football and other sports. And he's got a question for you. I'm going to bring him on.
Good evening, Coach.
Hey, Joe. How you doing, my man?
Doing well, doing well.
Right.
Yeah, and you kind of went into a little of this just now, talking about the relationships and just wanting to spend time and how you're trying to balance all of that. And, of course, COVID is giving you a lot of time to think about a lot of these things. Of course, the main goal for coaches like yourself is to coach these kids and try to get them closer to a championship. In the COVID era, what exactly does a championship look like? Would that be just the simple being able to meet every day, talk to them, meet with them, or what exactly kind of picture are you able to paint in that regard?
That's a very good question, Joe. You stumped me here for a little bit, but I'm sure I'll come out with an answer here. It's kind of like when people ask you, what does success mean to you? And a championship is success, yes. But a championship right now, yes, would be back to, I'm going to say reality, be back to, I hate to use the new normal because that's kind of the new coined phrase right now, but to be back to normal. Will it ever be normal? I don't know. But my thing is to be back where we can be all in the field house, all together, and play a game and not have to worry about getting that phone call and somebody saying, hey, such and such is in quarantine now, or, knock on wood, we've been fortunate thus far, but to get that call and say, hey, you got this cluster going on in your program right now and you got to quarantine, and not having that feeling. Honestly, I think everybody right now in North Carolina high school football, or not the NCHSAA in general, would feel that would be a championship for us, would be if we felt comfortable going to practice every day and not worrying about anything. But yes, and the dream is, at the end of the season to be able to raise our hands as a champion and being, 6-0 in our conference and rolling on. That's every coach's dream. That's the picture that we have painted at Concord High School right now. Mm-hmm. And I know people might be chuckling right now about that, but that's just how we roll. That's how we want to be, and that's just who we are.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it, man. Coach, I know these days are long, and getting out of practice. And I remember, coaching on days like this outside. It's cold, it's wet, you're tired. You come in, you got a family. I just want to say thank you so much for coming on here, at such a late hour, and I appreciate you, being, so open, with your responses, and we definitely appreciate, the time, and hopefully we can, I still got to get with you on the sled, which is a whole nother story. I appreciate you guys.
I understand, man. Yes. I appreciate having you on, Pat, man. This is kind of an honor, man, to be on here and get to talk to you guys, man. It's a lot of fun. And I love promoting our players and our program, but also just to talk football with people who enjoy football or just high school sports. It doesn't have to be football. As you can see, I'm wearing my basketball shirt tonight, supporting our Spiders and all that I do. And it's just fun to be out here for kids.
Absolutely. And I, salute you, man. And there's anything we can do, to help, from an exposure standpoint or whatever, just feel free to reach out, and we'll be glad to help any way we can, Coach.
Likewise, if I can do anything for you guys, man, just let me know, and I'll post anything that you'd like for me to post and help you guys out also.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Coach, man. Have a good night.
Yes, sir. Thank you, buddy.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Mm-hmm. All right. So that's Concord Spiders head coach Marty Paxton joining us to pretty much end the show. I'll bring the crew back one last time and see if we got anything else that anybody wants to say before we end. I know there's one person that'll probably have something to say because he always has something to say. But guys, what you got? It's a good show, man.
Hey, man, I love Coach Paxton. Coach Paxton's a good dude, man. I like him, man. I remember when I was at Hopewell and he was at what was it? Mooresville. Yeah, he's a good guy. He's very approachable. He is who he is. He is who he say he is. He's very approachable. You can't really say. You can say that about a good portion of the coaches. Like I just have different relationship with like me and Kenny. I don't like playing against Kenny because me and Kenny during pregame sitting there laughing and joking the whole time. And then we be like, hey, good luck. And I'll be like, hey, I'm gonna kick your butt, and he start laughing and stuff like that. So you can't. I love going against my friends, but Coach Paxton, he's a good guy, man. Concord, stop giving that man a hard time. I know how he feels. That resonated with me with going back home to where I graduated from, and I can only imagine that's been one of my dreams. Like I tell everybody, I just wanted to coach football with the state of Providence. That was one of the best gigs I ever had right there. And now at West Shaw, this is a challenge, but let's go. You know, we want to bring that pride back.
Amen. I'm with you. I totally get it. Cherie, you got any last final words? Final call?
No. I'm pretty mellow. I'm pretty mellow tonight.
Solo. Can we get sponsored by Solo Cups?
I told you it's coming when you don't expect it.
Jesus.
Good night, everybody.